A very warm welcome to this session on pivot tables. As part of this session, we'll see how to create pivot tables, the business case behind it. We'll also cover how to create pivot charts. So hold on with me and let's get going. So we have this base data over here in which I've captured the sales volume across different zones for different days of the year. And let's see how much data we have over here. So we have almost 6,570 rows of data over here captured across different years, different days. So from this date, I've arrived at the year, month, week number, the day of the month, and the weekday. So all of this can be done through the different functions which we have covered in the video related to date functions. So you can refer to that. However, for this particular video, let's see how we can slice and dice this whole set of data which we have over here. Now, as you can see, since it is a table, it's easy to create filters over here. And let's say, for example, you want to look at the data which belongs only to the north zone. It's very easy to do. But then this data is represented in a static manner. We can't really slice and dice this data in a very useful way, and that too, the presentation of the entire data is very much static. So if you want to change the layout completely at will, that may not be possible. So for this, we'll use pivot tables. So how to create pivot tables first? Let's select the entire data over here, and then we'll just go to the tab Insert, and here you have pivot table, recommended pivot tables, and we also have this option of pivot charts. So we'll look at each of these one by one. So let's start with a basic pivot table. So for this, just click on this particular button called pivot table, and so when you click on that, this pop-up opens, in which the first part is to select the range of data, in which by default the data which you had selected initially gets populated, and then you get to choose that where do you want to create this pivot table. Do you want to create in the existing worksheet somewhere, or do you want to create a new worksheet? So let's just select new worksheet for this particular example. Click on OK. Once we do that, we have this placeholder for the pivot table and various data fields with respect to this particular table can be seen over here. So you can see that all the fields, all the columns which we saw in the base data is actually existing over here. Zone, date, year, and month. So all of that is here. So let's say we want to analyze the sales for each of the zones across different years. So all that you need to do is just drag this field and keep it in the way we want. So let's assume you want to create different rows for each of the zones. So place it in the rows area. Then we want to suppose analyze the sales across the zone. So just select and drop values. Now, depending on the business case, either you want to show that some of the entire sales volume, or you can actually choose some of the other options as well. So in case if you just want to see that what is the count of data, that can be selected. If you want to see an average sales volume, that can also be min max. So all these options are present. So depending on the business case, you can choose to display the right one. Now let's assume we want to show the total sales volume across different zones. So this stands to the right selection. Now this is good. But what if I want to analyze this data across different years? Then very simple, just select years and drop it in the column section. And here we have data for both 2017 and 2018 and the grand total as well. Suppose I want to see that what kind of does it really have any seasonality. Let's drop the month over here again. So now we can see that there is a drill down which has come over here. So if I minimize this, again I have this entire data for 2017 and 18. However, if the moment I click on this plus sign for any of the years, I can actually drill down this data across different months of the year. Very useful, right? Now, however, because of this, what is happening is my data set is actually expanding unnecessarily, and it becomes a little difficult to see. So what best can we do? Can we move this data of months across filter option? Yes, we can do that. So now the moment we dragged the month field to the filters section, there's a new drop down which comes over here, in which I can select the month for which I want to see the data. And there's an option called select multiple items. So let's assume I want to see the data only for Jan. I select Jan, click on OK. So now the sales volume which we can see over here for 2017 and 18 is only for the month of January. Now let's assume I want to see these values for the quarter one of the calendar year, that is Jan, Feb and March. All that I have to do is just select all the 3 months and then click on OK. So now the sales volume which we can see over here is actually a summation of all the sales which has happened across different zones for the months of Jan, Feb and March. Now again, let's assume I want to remove this filter. I can just drag it and keep it over here. And so very easy to analyze this data, and you can actually change the format and the layout of this report at will. So let's assume you want to show the zones as different columns and years as different rows. Very easy, just drag the zone here, drag the year to the rows value, and here we have the data. So that you can see how easy it is to change the entire layout of the reporting structure. It's very easy to drill down across different fields. So able to display this analytical data in a very useful way. What if we want to show this entire data in a flexible chart? A chart which is having the same kind of capability which a pivot table has. That is in terms of you choose to display what you want to show and what are the filters which you would like to apply. So basically a completely dynamic chart. So very easy to do that as well. Just go back to the base data, select the entire data once again, and just go to insert, click on pivot chart. We get a similar option as we saw before. Click on OK, and here we have a placeholder for a pivot table as well as a pivot chart. So like what we did previously, we'll drag the zone in the axis, and we'll select year in the legend and the sales volume in the values. So here we have a dynamic chart which shows you the data for sales volume across different zones for different years. Now let's say you want to analyze this data only for the central zone. Just select central over here, and your data changes completely over here. Both your pivot table as well as your pivot chart appears to display as per your selection. Now let's select all the zones over here once again, and let's introduce a further drill down with respect to a day, or let's say week. I want to understand that what is the sales volume for week 1 of each of the months. So I'll just drop this as a filter again. I'll just select week 1. So the entire data which is reflected over here now is just pertaining to week one of every month for both the years, 2017 and 18. So you can see how easy it is to analyze data across different time frames, across different fields, both in a tabular as well as a graphical format.